Santa advice for a frustrated web dev. How can you find a job? How much training you have for 2 to 3 years of XP, which I do not have yet. I'm asking how to find your first job in the field. I'm gonna give you my short answer, which I always say. Find a company you want to work for. To actually do some research and reading, and find a company you want to work for, or 3, figure out what it is that they trust and create that. 90% of the time, if it's a web development job, they're going to want to see an overwhelming portfolio of finished web projects that demonstrate your ability. Don't even apply for a job until you have that. You're wasting their time. So if you don't have a number of projects that you've finished on your own, even fun projects, they don't necessarily have to be really fancy ones, but you need to have finished work in your portfolio that proves you can do the job on your GitHub and GitLab, especially for web development. Especially for web development. In fact, I suggest that that's more important than anything else in a web development world. And if you don't have it, you're wasting your time. In fact, if you're going to school and paying $8,000 for a boot camp and they are not helping you build a portfolio of projects, get your money back and go build a portfolio on your own. Learn the stuff however you can and get that. More important than experience. Experience is a portfolio. Because you had to get the experience to make the portfolio. So, and you need to be able to prepare to talk about the whole thing and all that. You may or may not be required to take some sort of coding interview, which might be testing you on, Boolean bubble sorts versus stuff that's actually related to web development. And if that's the case, you just need to know, which is why you need to target some companies. You can't just blanket resume submit to like 800 people, which people do all the time. And I tell you what, you want to piss a company off, just spam them with your resume. I know one guy who actually put resumes into blacklists because they did that. People would apply for positions they had no business being applying for, who just were clearly just sending their resume to 1,000 people. The only other way, I worked for a bank for 7 years, not much of a portfolio. Well, okay, so again, it's not even really about the portfolio, it's about trust. Most people trust a portfolio in the web development world. So it really depends on what the job is. It depends on how you're going to establish trust. So I didn't have to show any of my portfolio when I got my IBM job, but I was Nike's internal webmaster, and that was enough proof. And there was, ample ways to confirm that. But I didn't have to show that work. I just had to prove the experience so that they would trust me to do the same thing for them. So it's about the trust. But if you're just starting out, a portfolio is definitely the best way to build the trust, I think, in that field. There's just lots of different fields. Or can you trust yourself or can you just talk yourself through a successful interview? It depends on the company. I did, but that was a different time, So you can do that when you are too good. Yeah. So the problem is if you've never worked in the tech field, and that's really the problem. So if you already have, this is kind of a sad truth about this, but if you already have tech experience, if you've already got paid jobs in technology on your resume, then, and by the way, I want to tell you something, and it's not unethical to do it. Work for an organization, like, put the experience on your resume. So I've had 2 people get jobs from this. They were web developers, right? And they did websites for free for organizations. And one of them, I won't say, but they did it for the organization, and they were able to list on their resume that they were the official webmaster or web developer for such and such an organization, and it was not a lie. And now they created that position. They approached that organization that didn't have any website and said, "Can I be your web person? I will maintain this for you for free in exchange for the ability to list myself as your web maintainer." Like, oh yeah, please. They already had trust with that person in that organization, which is why I won't say what it is. And so that person said, "Yes, please. That's great." It was really funny. And actually, one other case, it's not related to a job, but in one other case, the person was doing something completely different in a service-oriented field. And as soon as they found out they had web skills, the boss said, "I didn't know you could do that stuff. I got all these ideas." Boom. And that person overnight became the web developer for that organization. And so they can now officially say, even though they barely just learned HTML, that they are officially the web developer for that particular organization. And the first thing they're going to look for on the resume is experience, and then they're going to look for a portfolio. If there's no experience, they're going to say, well, how are you going to prove this to me? And go, well, let's go look at all the stuff I did. But what I'm saying is that working for free or for almost nothing, and getting something on your resume that says you did the work, I mean, that's the basis of pretty much every internship that's out there. But you can create your own opportunities doing that, and then you can move on. This is why people say to participate in open source projects, which is harder because you got to deal with open source politics. But if you do get into that, you can say, I did this thing, or you can make your own open source project if you really wanted to. I love doing that myself, and then list it because it's legit, right? So